Welcome back to another episode of Revealed Abundance. It's really great to have you with us again. And hopefully last week you remember our Hebrew idioms episodes. We're going to bring another one to you today.
All right.
Which one is that, Alicia?
We're going to be talking about the fig tree. What does the fig tree represent?
Right. So we only kind of recently learned this, and we're both really excited. The fig tree, and you might also see the grapevine thrown in there, or the vineyard, represents Israel. And we can see some of that if we look in Hosea, maybe not a book you spend a lot of time in, Hosea. Hosea chapter 9 verse 10 says, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first ripe fruit on the fig tree in its first season. And it goes on to say that they didn't pay attention and did terrible things.
Terrible things.
But we can see he clearly says that he saw Israel like grapes, like a vineyard, and he saw that your fathers like the fig tree. Fathers being the fathers of Israel.
Right.
The leaders.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the New Testament, and we're going to kind of read some fig tree stories or parables here. So, this is Jesus, and it doesn't say Jesus in my Bible, it says he, but it's capital H he, so it's Jesus. Now in the morning, as he returned to the city, he was hungry, meaning Jesus was hungry, and seeing a fig tree by the road, he came to it and found nothing on it but leaves, and said to it, let no fruit grow on you ever again. Immediately the fig tree withered away.
I always was a little confused by this. I thought maybe Jesus just didn't like figs. Because that's a little bit of a harsh punishment for a tree that doesn't bear fruit. But we hear that turn of phrase used a lot, bearing fruit. So if the fig tree truly is Israel,
right,
and he sees that it isn't bearing fruit and then he curses it, that's a completely different story than if he just doesn't like figs and he really likes figs and he doesn't like the tree doesn't have any.
Right. Right, exactly. So then we go to Matthew 24. Now this is in the Olivet Discourse, but we're going to hit just verse 32 here. Now learning this parable from the fig tree, when its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know summer is near. You also, when you see these things, know that it is near at the door. Assuredly I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away.
Right. We talked about the whole heavens and earth thing in our previous idioms video. We'll put some links in the description for you. And so here we see he's actually using the fig tree in a little bit different context, because he's saying when you see these things, when you see that it's that's starting to bud, that it's almost summertime, well, he's saying that he's just given them this list of signs to look for, and when they see those things happening, they will know that the end of the age is coming.
Right.
And he used the fig tree a lot because we believe that the end of the age was the end of the Mosaic covenant, the end of the temple law system, and
right.
if the fig tree represents that,
right,
then that is the imagery he's going to use when he says that it will be destroyed.
Right, absolutely. And I just thought, like, wow, this is so interesting, because when he, like, curses the fig tree, and he's like, you'll produce no more fruit, like, that is what was happening, after Jesus died, and, like, 40 years late, there was this 40-year period, and then there was the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, and the truth is that after the destruction of 70 AD, there has been no more, like, fruit from the Mosaic law. And what we're talking about is the destruction of the temple completely destroyed the Levite records. There is absolutely no more Levite records. So, and because of that, they couldn't have any more priests to do any more sacrifices within the Mosaic covenant. So there hasn't been sacrifices since then, and there hasn't been
a temple,
and there hasn't been any Levites because they were it was all completely destroyed. And so it's just amazing that when he curses this fig tree, that it's kind of like this parable to, you know, what is going to be happening very shortly within that generation, like it said in Matthew 24.
So when you're reading the Bible next time and you come to these crazy passages that talk about, you know, cursing a fig tree, or the fig tree like will lose, like in Revelation it says the fig tree will lose all of its fruit in a strong gust of wind. Well, it doesn't have to be so weird and crazy and go, does God really have a thing against figs? Just understand that it was their way of alluding to to Israelites and the old Mosaic covenant.
Right, absolutely. I hope that that has sparked your interest to dig a little deeper, and we'll just kind of bless you today. God, I just thank you for the people that are watching this. We just ask that you would help them to learn and to grow and how to get into your word even more. And we just thank you. We ask that you bless them with your favor, with your goodness. In Jesus' name.
Thank you for giving us a like and a subscribe and sharing us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.